That's the exact scenario that took place in the FISA application for Carter Page and the rest of the Trump campaign.
And that is frightening, because that's what the CIA is supposed to do in foreign countries. It's not supposed to happen to Americans, but it did, didn't it, Director?
Yes.
And not just any Americans, it happened with the President of the United States. Is that accurate?
This may look like a routine exchange between a lawmaker and a federal official, but it's actually a stress test of institutional restraint. What's really being tested here is whether the tools designed to protect the nation can be redirected inward without consequence. This raises broader questions about how power is justified, how narratives become evidence, and where accountability begins when oversight uncovers uncomfortable truths. In this video, we'll break down how a single admission exposes deeper tensions between authority and law, and why that matters far beyond one hearing.
Spying on parents at school board meetings?
No, sir.
Is the FBI still targeting Catholics?
No, sir.
Is the FBI still spying on President Trump?
I don't believe so.
Is the FBI still censoring Americans?
No, sir.
Is the FBI still targeting Americans for shopping at Cabela's or purchasing Bibles?
Nobody is targeted for their faith.
Is the FBI still targeting Americans who are pro-life?
Nobody is targeting anyone for their beliefs.
Is the FBI still cooking the books on crime data?
The crime data is real.
Is the FBI still purging agents for conservative viewpoints?
No one at the FBI has asked their viewpoints on policy.
Is the FBI still labeling the Betsy Ross flag, the flag of the American Revolution, a hate symbol?
No.
Well, maybe that's why you've been able to, what was the number, 23,000 bad guys you've arrested, a huge increase from the same time period in the previous administration. I think you said 1,400 predators, 4,000 children rescued. Were those effects?
4,700, 35% increase on children rescued.
Yeah. And you got the guy at Abbey Gate?
We got the Abbey Gate guy.
The guy from the 4th District of Ohio who lost his life there, serving our country. We appreciate that. Maybe when you're not focused on politics, you can actually do what the FBI is supposed to do. Go get the bad guys, right?
That's what the men and women of the FBI do.
Director, did John Brennan lie to Congress? Let me just read a couple things, actually, before you answer that. 2 years ago, we had Mr. Brennan in for an interview, and I asked him, how'd you learn about the dossier in December of 2016? Mr. Brennan replied, I received a copy of it from the FBI, and the CIA was very much opposed to having any reference or inclusion of the Steele dossier in the intelligence community assessment. That's what John Brennan told the United States Congress. 7 weeks ago, the Director of National Intelligence told us this: John Brennan lied and denied using the dossier in the intelligence community assessment because he knew it was discredited. CIA officer told the House Intelligence Committee Brennan refused to remove it, and when confronted with the dossier's main flaws, he responded, yes, but doesn't it ring true? John Brennan lied to us?
Mr. Chairman, I won't stylize the evidence. What I will say is that the intelligence community assessment, those that created it and any individual involved with it, is an ongoing investigation.
There's an investigation into what took place in December and January of December 2016, January 2017, when this whole thing started, this grand conspiracy. That is being investigated, is that right?
That has been publicly announced by the department.
That's been announced by the department. Did Chris Wray hide documents from this committee?
You would know better than me, sir.
Well, I think you told us like 700 pieces of information you've given this committee since you've been the director relative to just one incident, the Catholic memorandum from the Richmond field office.
I can give you the comparison, sir. Yeah, the Catholic memo, I believe we turned over 750 documents. In Mr. Ray's tenure, I believe they turned over 19 pages.
19 pages. You've given us 700. Why would Chris Wray hide information from this committee? You want to hazard a guess?
I'm sorry?
Hazard a guess why he would do that?
I don't know, sir.
I think maybe it was because FBI was spying on a priest, trying to get him to break the priest penitent confidence that exists. You think maybe that was the reason?
You'd have to ask him, sir.
Yeah, we'd love to do that. I want to read a few names here. Arctic Haze, Tropic Vortex, Riding Hood, Foggy Falls, Echoes Fade, Sirens Lure, Genetic Christmas. What are these code names about, Director? You know?
Not off the top of my head.
Well, Arctic Haze, Tropic Vortex. My understanding, these are code names for leak investigations of classified information from the year 2017. Does that ring a bell?
In terms of leak investigations, many of those are classified and many of those are ongoing, Mr. Chairman. But we are working with you to produce documents as we close those investigations or as we declassify them.
Let me ask you this question, because this is something I've wondered about, the way the FBI used to work, the way this whole thing so many of these things unfolded. Seems to me you had all these people in government leaking information that then gets reported in the press, there's a story written about it, and then that article is then used to further the investigation and move forward with what they want to do. Did that take place back in 16 and 17?
That's the exact scenario that took place in the FISA application for Carter Page and the rest of the Trump campaign.
And that is frightening, because that's what the CIA is supposed to do in foreign countries. It's not supposed to happen to Americans, but it did, didn't it, Director?
Yes.
And not just any Americans, it happened with the President of the United States. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you were the key guy in helping expose that. And I think our country will be forever grateful for what you did to let the country know that was going on involving Americans, which is not supposed to happen, and not just, again, any American, but the President of the United States.
The moment that just unfolded was not a pause, not a clarification, not a gentle exchange. It was a barrage. A rapid-fire series of questions delivered without hesitation, each one pressing on the same nerve. Whether the most powerful investigative agency in the United States has truly returned to its proper limits, or whether the shadow of past conduct still lingers behind official denials. In that exchange, Representative Jim Jordan moved from one issue to the next with relentless precision: surveillance, censorship, political targeting, faith, speech, data, internal dissent, symbolism. Each question was met with a familiar answer. No, not anymore. Not to my knowledge. I don't believe so. And yet the sheer volume of those denials, stacked one on top of another, told a deeper story than any single response could. Because what this moment revealed was not just about what the FBI claims it is no longer doing. It revealed how much trust has been eroded that such questions must even be asked, and asked this forcefully in a public hearing of the United States Congress. This was not theater. This was oversight born of memory. Memory of a time when investigative tools meant for foreign threats were turned inward. Memory of when leaks became headlines, headlines became justification, and justification became official action. Memory of a system that blurred the line between intelligence and politics and did so without consequence. Jordan's questions landed hardest when the conversation turned backward, not to speculation, but to documented events. To the intelligence assessment of late 2016 and early 2017, to the Steele dossier, to testimony given under oath by former CIA Director John Brennan, to later statements by the Director of National Intelligence asserting that Brennan had not told the truth because the material in question was already discredited at the time. When Jordan stated plainly, "John Brennan lied to us," the room shifted. Because that accusation was not rhetorical. It was anchored in sworn testimony, official findings, and an ongoing investigation acknowledged by the Department of Justice itself. The response from the witness was careful, restrained, procedural. An investigation is ongoing. Individuals involved are under review. December 2016, January 2017, the beginning of what Jordan called a grand conspiracy. And that phrase matters because conspiracies are not defined by their size, but by coordination, by the quiet alignment of power, secrecy, and intent. The questioning then turned to transparency, or rather the lack of it. Why, Jordan asked, were hundreds of documents turned over under one director, while only a handful of pages were produced under another? Why would information be withheld from the very committee charged with oversight? The implication was unmistakable, that accountability itself had become selective. As the exchange moved deeper, it touched something even more foundational than politics. It touched the boundary between government authority and personal conscience. Jordan referenced efforts to gather information involving religious figures. The suggestion was not just bureaucratic overreach, but a violation of long-held protections, spaces where the state has no rightful presence. The witness declined to speculate. Ask him, not me. But the question lingered in the air unanswered. Then came the code names. Strange, almost cinematic phrases, tropic vortex, foggy falls, echoes fate, linked, Jordan asserted, to leak investigations involving classified information. Investigations that began years ago. Investigations some say remain unresolved. The witness acknowledged that many such matters remain classified, still under review, still slowly moving through a system that declassifies only when it chooses to. And that led to perhaps the most consequential revelation of the hearing. Jordan described a pattern. Information leaked from within government. The press publishes it. The published story is then cited as justification for further investigation. A closed loop, a self-validating cycle. And when he asked whether that exact process had occurred during the surveillance of Carter Page and the broader Trump campaign, the answer was simple: yes. That single word carried extraordinary weight. Because, as Jordan made clear, that methodology is meant for foreign intelligence operations. It is not supposed to be used on Americans, and yet it was. Not quietly acknowledged years later, but confirmed on the record. Confirmed in a congressional hearing. Confirmed by someone now tasked with helping untangle the aftermath. And then came the line that framed everything else. It did not happen to just any American. It happened to the President of the United States. That fact alone forces a reckoning. If such methods can be used against the highest office in the land, they can be used against anyone. If safeguards failed there, where did they hold? This hearing was not about partisan victory. It was about institutional memory, about whether the United States has learned from one of the most destabilizing chapters in its modern political history, or whether it is content to issue reassurances without reckoning. Jordan closed by crediting the witness for helping expose what happened, for bringing facts into the open, for reminding the country that secrecy without accountability is not stability, it is risk. And that is the deeper meaning of this moment, because democracy does not survive on assurances alone. It survives on transparency, restraint, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about power. Oversight is not hostility. It is stewardship. And questions, however uncomfortable, are not attacks on institutions. They are the means by which institutions earn back trust. What we witnessed was not chaos. It was the sound of accountability knocking on a closed door. And whether that door opens fully will determine far more than the outcome of one investigation. It will determine whether Americans can once again believe that their government operates within the boundaries it claims to defend. This is why these hearings matter. This is why scrutiny matters. And this is why silence is never neutral. If you believe sunlight still matters in a democratic system, support our work. Subscribe to Liberty Report USA.